Dear students, welcome to UGC EPG Pathshala on Human Rights and Duties. My name is Professor Y.S.R. Murthy. I am the Executive Director of the Center for Human Rights Studies, O.P. Jindal Global University. In the unit on National Mechanisms for the Protection and Enforcement of Human Rights, we will take up today the National Human Rights Commission. In the earlier modules, we have seen the National Human Rights Protection System, the role of executive, judiciary, legislature, and we have also seen the Paris Principles, which are supposed to be the foundation on which the National Human Rights Commission should be established, and we have seen the significance of these 6 Paris Principles, which relate to broad mandate, which relate to autonomy, which relate to independence, pluralism, adequate resources, adequate investigation powers. And in the last module, we took up the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993, which provides for establishing the National Human Rights Commission at the national level, State Human Rights Commission in states, and human rights courts for better protection of human rights. And we have also seen the various provisions of the Act in relation to the structure, composition, and powers of the Commission, and also steps for inquiry, State Human Rights Commission, and also Human Rights Court, and also finance and audit. We will be reviewing some of these developments during this module, of course, reinforcing the learning that we got while studying the statute. And in this module, we will take up in detail the National Human Rights Commission. What is the nature of this commission? What are its main activities? We will see that during the course of this module. At the end of this module, you will be in a position to understand the nature of the National Human Rights Commission, along with its composition, its role and structure. You will also be in a position to learn about some major cases that were taken up by the National Human Rights Commission and how it addressed the human rights issues and human rights violations in those cases. You will also have an idea of the how NHRC undertakes the investigation into human rights violations, the cases which are brought before it, and you will also in a position to appreciate the challenges that the NHRC faces in its working and what needs to be done to overcome these challenges so that it can effectively carry out its functions. Now, let us look up the Commission in greater detail. In fact, in the year 1993, there was a lot of pressure from the international community for greater accountability for human rights violations. It was complemented, it was reinforced by a strong urge from the Indian civil society for a specialized institution, and it was in this context the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993 was passed. And if you look at Section 3 of the Act, it provides for the National Human Rights Commission. And what are the features of the Commission? It was supposed to be an independent statutory body, and it complies with the various guidelines laid down by Paris Principles, and it freely expresses its opinion in any case pertaining to human rights violation by virtue of the powers given to it under the Protection of Human Rights Act. And it has a wide range of functions within its official mandate without any reasonable restrictions, and it can take up the entire gamut of civil, political, economic, social, cultural rights. It is equivalent to a civil court in exercising the function of inquiry and investigation in cases of individual human rights violations. And the Act has been so drafted as to ensure independence of the Commission. For instance, there is a security of tenure to its member has been provided. No matter what stand they take, they cannot be removed unless the procedure prescribed is followed for their removal, and they cannot be dismissed. Their conditions of service cannot be altered to the disadvantage. The salaries of the members cannot be reduced arbitrarily. And let us now look at the composition of the commission. The commission is required to have 9 members. There is 1 chairperson, 4 regular members, and then there are 4 deemed members. As I said in the last module, the chairpersons of the National Commissions for Women, Minorities, Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribe are, for certain purposes of the Act, deemed to be members of the NHRC. They cannot look at individual violations of human rights violations, but they can, for all remaining functions of promotion and they can aid and advise the NHRC. The NHRC is headed by a former Chief Justice of a Supreme Court, and there shall be 1 judge who has been a judge of the Supreme Court of India and 1 judge who has been a former Chief Justice of a High Court. And these 3 persons, by virtue of being drawn from a higher judiciary, are supposed to have an intimate knowledge of the various fundamental rights and supposed to have the necessary expertise in human rights. How is NHRC structured? There are several divisions within the commission. There is a law division which receives and handles individual complaints of human rights violations. There is an investigation division which undertakes fact-finding, on-spot inspections across the country. There is an administration division which looks at establishment, personnel or HR matters, administrative and other requirements. And then you have a training division which undertakes training activities, which is the training division is also responsible for spreading of human rights literacy and sensitizing staff. And then there is a policy, research, projects and programs division which looks at systemic issues, which looks at review of laws, constitutional safeguards, and which undertakes or promotes research. It looks at international conventions and then makes recommendations. And these are, it also organizes various conferences and seminars. Now, let us take, in the first instance, complaint handling mechanism of the National Human Rights Commission. It has been provided in the Section 12A of the Protection of Human Rights Act. Now, who can file a complaint? The complaint, against whom the complaint is to be filed, and what is the mode of filing a complaint. These are, and what type of complaints are not taken up by NHRC. While on the issue of individual complaints, the Commission can take suo motu cognizance based on media reports by itself. There need not be any formal complaint from anybody. Or it can start a process based on a petition submitted to it or based on a referral by a court. Now, what type of complaints are taken up by the Commission? These include both acts of commission as well as omission by public servants which lead to a violation of human rights. And while handling these complaints, the Commission has the powers of a civil court. And now there are certain type of complaints which are not taken up by the Commission. These include service matters, complaints which are already sub judice. These include issues arising from non-fulfillment of contractual obligations, and complaints which are more than 1 year old and which are barred by time limitation, complaints which are pending before another commission of inquiry or before a state commission if they have already taken cognizance of. So these are certain matters which do not come under the purview of the National Human Rights Commission. And in case a complaint is illegible, vague, anonymous, pseudonymous, the Commission doesn't entertain these type of complaints. Once a Commission registers the complaint and starts inquiry into complaints, there is a certain procedure which is followed. For instance, the Commission first calls for a report from the government in relation to the incident. And based on the report submitted by the government, the NHRC can either decide that there is a need to initiate an investigation, and if it decides so, it will inform the complainant accordingly. And once the investigation is complete and there are several steps after inquiry which are mentioned in section 18 of the Protection of Human Rights Act, if the inquiry conducted by the commission discloses that human rights of a person has been violated, the commission makes the following recommendations. One, it can ask the authority concerned to pay compensation for damages. It can ask them to pay immediate interim relief. It can also ask the authorities to initiate prosecution. It may ask them to approach the High Court or Supreme Court for required orders or writs. It may ask the concerned authority to pay immediate interim relief to the victim, and then provide a report of the inquiry to the complainant and to the government within a period of 1 month. And it may also publish the inquiry report along with the comments of the government authority concerned. And these detailed steps for inquiry into complaints and also procedure after inquiry is over are mentioned in the Protection of Human Rights Act. Now let us turn our attention to the violations of human rights committed by personnel of armed forces. There is a slightly different procedure which has been mentioned in section 19 of the Protection of Human Rights Act insofar as violations done by army personnel are concerned. While complaints against the police personnel can be investigated by the NHRC, in the case of army, the commission can call for a report, and there is a slightly restrictive procedure which is mentioned in the section 19 of the Protection of Human Rights Act, which has been criticized by many non-governmental organizations as a congenital abnormality. On the one hand, if you see section 2 of the Act, like particularly 2D, it defines human rights as right to life, liberty, dignity, equality, and which has been further defined in subsequent sections. And you explain clearly what human rights mean, and in the same act you cannot provide impunity, as certain NGOs claim that about these restrictive provisions with regard to violations of human rights committed by armed forces personnel. Now let us take up some illustrative cases taken by NHRC. In fact, in the first year of the commission, about 500 odd complaints came, but in the subsequent years these grew. Now the commission receives on an average over 1 lakh complaints in a year, and it has, these complaints are of various types. These complaints include complaints of custodial deaths, torture, illegal detention, unlawful arrest, false implication, fake encounter, and cases related to violation of economic, social, cultural rights, cases related to women and children, atrocities on persons belonging to scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other members of minority communities. And these are, the complaints can also relate to prevalence of bonded labor or child labor, and then human rights violations committed by personnel of armed forces or paramilitary forces. These, in a nutshell, are a representative list of the type of cases which the National Human Rights Commission can take cognizance of and then take up for redressal. And since 1993, the Commission has taken up many cases. Some of them have been taken up suo motu cognizance. In fact, in response to a report of 60 deaths as a result of firing by security forces in Bij Behara, Jammu and Kashmir, was the first complaint taken up by the Commission immediately after its establishment. In this case, the Defense Ministry reported that it was not involved, there was no involvement by the army. On the other hand, there was the Ministry of Home Affairs gave a detailed report, and based on it, disciplinary proceedings, the Commission said, should be initiated and against the persons who are responsible. And the Commission also ordered that payment of interim relief, and Commission asked the government to review the conditions in which border security force personnel are deployed in certain conflict situations, and how they operate in situations which only involve the civilian populations. Now, let's take up the Gujarat riots. In the year 2002, there have been certain communally explosive incidents in Gujarat, and the NHRC took suo moto cognizance of these developments and then undertook a fact-finding mission. It asked the government to restore law and order, and it made detailed recommendations on the relief and rehabilitation of victims. Now, later on, Supreme Court also got into this and then gave directions on Gujarat riots. Now, let's look up protection of Chakma and Hajang refugees in the Arunachal Pradesh. And in response to a complaint from People's Union for Civil Liberties, the Commission initiated this matter and made recommendations to the Arunachal government when there was a delay and when there was a lack of action. The NHRC filed a petition before the Supreme Court of India, and then the Supreme Court ordered the concerned state government to take effective steps to protect the right to life and property of these Chakmas and Hajang refugees. The Supreme Court held that these refugees also have their right to life under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. Now, this case is an illustration of how the Commission has approached a court of law for enforcement of its orders, and when faced with resistance from the state government, when faced with delay on the part of the state government for implementation on account of political reasons, on account of political factors, the Commission really enforced its directions. Now, let us look at the starvation deaths in Orissa. Several years back, in response to starvation deaths in KBK districts of Orissa, the Commission took cognizance of the situation. It has sent a special rapporteur to monitor and oversee the relief and rehabilitation work. It gave a series of interim orders. It gave a series of recommendations for short-term and long-term actions regarding emergency feeding and also for other programs. And in particular, the government of Orissa was directed to review the public distribution system. It was asked to check up the situation of tube wells and their distance from the residential areas, and the recommendations also cover many other long-term issues to prevent starvation deaths from occurring in Orissa. Now, let's look at Asian Center for Human Rights took up a torture case to the Commission. It complains to the NHRC about the torture and gang rape of a girl by 3 special police officers in Tripura, and the Commission, after a detailed fact-finding, found that our victim family's complaint was not even recorded by the police station, and the Commission, after conducting a full inquiry, directed the state government to provide an immediate interim relief to the victim. The government, in fact, of Tripura also responded by providing monetary compensation to the victim's family. As compensation, the Commission directed the state government to pay rupees 50,000 as compensation, owing to the nature of the instance and owing to the nature of the brutality of the offense. Now, let us look at fake encounter case in Uttar Pradesh. There are complaints of such encounters all over in different states, and in this case of Uttar Pradesh, the complainant informed that his son, along with 3 other persons, was killed in a fake encounters. And the commission initially asked for a report from the concerned government, and it was not convinced by the police version. And then the commission asked its own investigation wing to go into it and ascertain facts on the ground. And on the basis of this investigation division's report, a case was registered against 36 persons. And the end of the eventually, the NHRC directed the state government for payment of interim relief and also compensation to the victims. Now let us look at a case of a bonded laborers in Haryana. The NHRC received a complaint from the Bonded Labor Liberation Front, which is a non-governmental organization, and stating that several persons, including women and children, were kept as bonded labor in a stone quarry. And after completing various steps of inquiry, the NHRC directed the Chief Secretary to look into the matter, and the state government reported that it is an industrial dispute. And not convinced by the version given by the state government, NHRC asked or directed the concerned district magistrate to take appropriate action for their rehabilitation. And finally, the commission asked them to see that release certificates were given to the laborers and that rehabilitation should be properly supervised. Now, what about higher educational institution and representation of persons with disabilities in the higher educational institution? There was a complaint that in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences there was no provision for differently abled candidates, and the commission took cognizance of this complaint and it called for a report about the absence of any provision for reservation for persons belonging to physically handicapped and other categories in MBBS or dental courses. And then based on it, the commission directed the All India Institute of Medical Sciences to comply with the provisions of the Persons with Disabilities Act 1985 and the relevant Supreme Court judgments on this issue, which provide for 3% reservations for such candidates. We are looking at a list of illustrative cases which the National Human Rights Commission took cognizance of. Now, here is a person who was suffering from HIV/AIDS, and then there was a complaint from him stating that he is being denied treatment by a government as well as a private hospital. And in response to this complaint, the NHRC called for a report from both the hospital which are concerned, one which is a private hospital and the other which is a government hospital. And following the fact finding, following the ascertainment of facts, and after the intervention of the commission, the Lok Nayak Jayaprakash Narayan Hospital in Delhi continued with the rest of the treatment of the person concerned. And to sum up, the commission has a wide mandate under Section 12 of the Protection of Human Rights Act, and while dealing with individual complaint, it has the powers of a civil court, and it has taken cognizance of a lot of matters over the years and secured relief to individual victims. NHRC cannot take up complaint if it is against a private person. It cannot complain if it has been approached a year after the alleged violation took place. And it similarly, if the commission cannot look into a complaint if it has already been inquired into by another commission, and or if it has been pending before any other court, and if the inquiry discloses that violation of human rights, then the commission recommends payment of compensation or immediate interim relief. The commission also can recommend prosecution of the persons concerned who have been responsible for the violation of human rights, and it can also make other recommendation or approach the High Court or the Supreme Court, as the case may be, for required orders or writs. And in the case of complaints involving personnel of armed forces, there is a slightly different procedure that has been mentioned in the Protection of Human Rights Act. Thank you.